welcome everybody to the 10th of March. Hello out there to YouTube. Hello to Rumble out there. Hello to Pilled.net. Hope you guys are all doing fantastic. Having a great Tuesday. We have so much to cover. So many updates. It seems like every day there's an update. But we have our great friend here, Mr. Brett Collins. What's up, brother? How are you?
Good. What's up, man? How you doing? How's the family? Is everything okay?
Things are livening up, I guess, a little bit.
Right.
I just want to definitely go out there and tell everybody, don't lose faith. Don't lose that in-game stability. Yeah. Don't do it. Don't get blackpilled. Don't go down the wrong drain. Stay afloat. Stay prepared. Head on a swivel. See something. Say something.
And blind loyalty.
Every day.
And blind loyalty gets you nowhere.
Yeah.
You could still support Trump and question things. The trust me bros out there say, I got it, I'm all MAGA. Well, they were wrong about the John Cornyn thing. Remember they said, John Cornyn is where Trump's going to go. And then it's reported on NOAA that is not. He is not going to, again, and I said it yesterday on my show, and I said it on last week, that there's a good chance he might not endorse anybody, and he'll tell his MAGA people, you go out and tell me who you want. That's how he should present this, because John Thune came out today and said, you know what, we're not going to bother doing this whole thing with the Save the Act and the filibuster and all that stuff. They're so a dead important stick. They're a dead stick. So this point is, you know what to do, MAGA. You know what to do, and you don't need the trust me bros to tell you how this is going to play out, because they don't know everything. They think they do, but you know what? Their blind loyalty is what also gets you in problems. Not just the black pillars. They are also problematic too, because they see things as black and white. They don't live in the gray like the rest of us.
Guys, I hope you're ready for the show. 5,000 Gold Pill Challenge on Pilled. Help out with Super Chats on YouTube and help out with Rumble Rants on Rumble. Before we get into today's show, let's go to our sponsor. That is noblegoldinvestments.com. Let's go. New numbers are out of Washington show inflation is on the rise again. Another threat to you, your savings account, and to your retirement. Ask yourself an honest question. Does your dollar go as far as it did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or even last year? So what does the next decade look like for you and your savings? If your portfolio lacks exposure to gold, one of its history's most reliable economic hedges, it's time to rethink your strategy. Gold has kept up with inflation and many periods outpaced it. My friends at Noble Gold Investments specialize in helping people protect their wealth with physical gold and silver. So get that right. Get that right down in the old memory bank. Whether you're rolling over an IRA or making a direct purchase, their team walks you through the entire process and makes it simple. You will be talking to a person when you call them, not an automated machine, not AI or a callback. You will be getting a person on the line. Right now, there's no pressure, just education and experience. Right now, all qualified accounts will receive a free 10-ounce American Gold Eagle as a thank you. So visit noblegoldinvestments.com, or you can definitely go to TRUreportingGold.com to protect your financial future. Again, that is noblegoldinvestments.com and also TRUreporting.com, TRUreportingGold.com, that is. Please go there and let them know that True Reporting sent you, and we thank Noble Gold for being a sponsor of this podcast and these live streams. Linda Perino says, we have to have hope. Absolutely. I totally agree with you for sure. All right. Let me, that works right there where it is. Let's go ahead and get into this right now. And we need to do it. As you can see, let me blow it up for you guys on the big screen so that you can see. Bada boom, bada bing. Here we go. Kash Patel is reviewing investigations into Trump allies assembling a criminal case. Interesting. Federal Bureau of Investigation Director Kash Patel is leading an internal review of federal investigators targeting President Donald J. Trump and his allies. The review covers nearly a decade of counterintelligence activity, including Operation Crossfire Hurricane, Round River, Plasmic Echo, and Arctic Frost. Some of these investigations relied on controversial surveillance methods and weak or disrupted justifications. According to whistleblowers and current or former FBI officials assisting the review, Patel's team has examined internal communications, investigative files, and intelligence records that point to investigations being politically motivated. Some probes reportedly focused on Trump's campaign advisors as well as journalists, members, and Congress, folks, with investigators accused of using authorities typically reserved for counterterrorism cases. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon said criminal liability could arise if federal officials initially violated constitutional rights. The Department of Justice is at the heart of the considering of these issues right now, she said. I would say all of those things are on the table for the lawyers and the DOJ officials who were conspired with them at the state level. State prosecutors, state police, so forth and so on, who conspired to violate civil rights and could also include executive branch officials, from the first administration who knowingly conspired and orchestrated a violation of federal civil rights, Dillon added. Questions have also resurfaced about the FBI's 2022 search of Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence, acknowledging that he personally approved the search warrant requested. Mayor Garland did this. Internal communications later reported that the media suggested some officials had raised concerns and whether investigators had established sufficient probable cause before the warrant was ever executed. Another investigation under scrutiny is Arctic Frost, launched in 2022 to examine efforts by Trump's allies contesting the 2020 election and the results. The operation was run partly by the FBI's Washington Field Office Public Corruption Squad. Patel later disbanded that unit amid allegations, and investigators monitored communications linked to the Republican lawmakers and conservative groups. It is out there. It is in your face. Just understand that Kash Patel will be looking into what they have done. The corruption knows no bounds. Just understand that. Heads will roll, I would think. I think that we have got to get these people out of here immediately, especially when it comes back to the 2020 election. I don't want to get too far into the 2020 election with words being said, but I wanted to start off with this. So that's coming from the National Pulse. Brett, your thoughts on this thus far when it comes to Kash Patel?
Well, I mean, John Solomon reported yesterday or today. I was out most of the day reporting. I guess he went on Bannon. He's reporting that in 10 days, we're going to find out about all the inquiries regarding foreign interference in our election that's going to come out. He said in 10 days. So that brings me back to September, is it 8th or 12th, 2018, with the Executive Order 13848 with foreign interference in our elections. So that's going to come out. Is that because of Maduro? Is the information that we gleaned from Maduro going to showcase that the foreign minister in Iran was in there as they were flipping the script on this? I mean, how big and wide and expansive this goes to how many different countries, falls into the lap of China with the fake ballots. I don't know how many countries this is going to fall into. I mean, are we going to go to war with everybody? I mean, you have to consider how many countries were involved. I mean, if Iran's involved, well, then you know what? Let's obliterate them, right? I mean, right? Let's just kill everybody like Lindsey Graham says. Let's just fucking side up with the Jews and just drop tactical nukes everywhere and murder as many people we can as they're trying to do in Lebanon. No, of course not. That's not what we do. That's not how it goes. But the realistic understanding about this, aside from the Iran war and what is taking place right now currently, when you go back, how many countries does it implicate with Smartmatic? I mean, you have Venezuela, you have maybe Italy, something going on with Italy. You might have some other countries, Germany, you might have Spain, you might have other countries. We just don't know how pervasive this was and how big it was. We just don't know. The question is, if many countries were actively watching the flip of the script, but not engaging in the participation, that is something that's going to be truly shocking. and then yet they didn't say anything, or they're coming out and giving testimony information. I don't know. I really don't know. But I am concerned with the Arctic frost because, there's multiple investigations going on. We still haven't got Comey. I mean, look, what happened to Comey? What happened to Brennan? I know that there's a court case in Fort Pierce going on with all these people. There are other things that we still haven't really seen any convictions. We have seen arrests and indictments, but we haven't seen any convictions per se. Whether it's crossfire this, crossfire that, or anything else emblematic to what has taken place in Trump's. What it is that we've seen just so much fraud and so much abuse that this government, okay, the United States government, actively participated in with the FBI as a stalking horse, as an enemy to the people, to overthrow and overturn an election with the Obama administration. That is just truly shocking. And yet, how many people have really gone to jail over this? There are a lot of people who have been fired. There have been people indicted. People have been sued. But are we able to say in some way, and let's be honest, to say that we can glean the possible future probability that there will be this and we will see it on that level? Or is it we're never going to see this because these people are going to have to be tried for treason outside the proverbial courts because the courts are so completely corrupted and AGs are corrupted? For example, what just took place in New York City yesterday, you covered it in your show. Yesterday, I covered it, where the FBI now is taking the reins. The new FBI is taking the reins of this domestic terrorism of these guys. And because they knew Letitia James or the mayor or other people, the liberals, progressives inside of New York would let these kids skate in a second. So when you think about that, you have to now, walk back everything that I'm saying and what I'm suggesting is because I am concerned that we might not get to see everything we hope to see on a surface level because things are so, how do I say it, problematic, and they could be very tipsy like a seesaw. And some people be, yeah, I want it. I want public hangings. And then there are other people like, they can't take it. The pacemaker might go down or something, or their blood pressure might go up. Some people just are not going to be able to fashionably swallow all of this as you and I can easily do on every day. Think about what Epstein has done. Europe is going full tilt. But look, what I'm saying is that unfortunately right now is that I'm still holding my proverbial breath as I speak when we're going through all these investigations and stuff because the fallout of all these things do not equal to incarcerations or anything to that nature. So it leads me to believe that hopefully there's another exit off this ramp that they will go to that, maybe we'll learn later or not. And at this point, some people lose hope because of this. They become blackpilled. They become completely just like, what are we doing here? So, and I get that. I totally get that and see that. I guess I just have a different way of processing and experiencing and seeing these things. But the Comey thing right now, and a lot of the architects or the underlings of them, where are these people? A lot of them in jail? No, they're not. So again, they get a pass. Is that true? Or are they just giving up the bigger fish, which is really the Obama administration? Everybody in that Obama administration, Brennan, Clapper, you name it, Susan Rice, everybody that's top in there. How about the Biden administration? Mayorkas, he should be in jail for what he's done, but I digress.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. You hear about all these people that you named. A lot of them are climbers. You would think that these low-hanging fruit would be arrested by this point, but that is not the case. Maybe leave the climbers to themselves and then go after the big fish, like you were saying. So, that is a possibility for sure.
I like that term, climbers.
Yeah, it's a comic term.
Yeah.
I want to go into this really quick. So we do have an update on what's been going on over here in New York City, outside of the mayor's home, in a very prestigious place. Very interesting. We will go into that right now. Let's go ahead and do it. Take a listen.
He also told investigators that he had hoped to carry out an attack even bigger than the Boston Marathon bombing, which he noted resulted in only 3 deaths. As Qayyumi was being placed into an NYPD vehicle following his arrest, a person in the crowd asked why he had done this. As shown on NYPD body-worn camera footage referenced in the complaint, Qayyumi responded with ISIS. And at the precinct, after being advised of his Miranda rights and waiving those rights, Qayyumi said in recorded post-arrest statements that he had watched ISIS propaganda on his phone and that his actions that day were partly inspired by ISIS. The complaint also details statements made by Amir Balat after his arrest. En route to the NYPD precinct, Balat made spontaneous statements without being questioned by NYPD officers that were captured on body-worn camera footage. He said, "This isn't a religion that just stands when people talk about the blessed name of the prophet. We take action, as well as, if I didn't do it, someone else will come and do it."
So that statement right there, someone else will come and do it. This doesn't seem like a one-off by any means necessary. So, again, we have to take that into perspective. It doesn't matter if it's New York, if it's Pittsburgh, if it's California, if it's Atlanta. It doesn't matter. I mean, hell, there were, we talked about it yesterday with Freddie Colton. You had a hoax that took place at a Kansas airport near Kansas City. That is a federal charge. I mean, in itself, grounding airplanes, halting flights, these sorts of things are terroristic ideas. This is what they are. They are put out there, and they executed them. Whether it's a prank or whether it's a hoax or whether it's the real thing, we can only imagine. But all of this, when we talked about this yesterday, and I want to bring it to your attention, Brett, do you think that in some way, shape, or form, being right outside of the mayor's mansion, that any way that this could be a setup?
I was having this discussion yesterday with Marshall, and I was talking in the idea that a lot of this looks like a psyop. It looks like,
doesn't it? That's what we're saying.
And saying, but let me get back to what you were saying. You just said something about with the airport in Missouri, Kansas City? Yeah, and I didn't discuss that or cover it because this is all tied to DHS funding. I mean, look, they wanted Kristi Noem out. They wanted Lewandowski out. They wanted Greg Bovino out. Well, he's out. You got what you want. Yeah, you got what you wanted, Democrats, but here you go now. Now what? The airport lines are out the door.
They thrive off of that.
Everybody is now. Secret Service agents are being filled in by positions of Marshal Service and other people because they're not getting paid. You have a young girl that looks like a Marshal agent that was there in Miami stopping with President Trump, and people are calling that out, saying this is fake. What I'm saying is right now, this is positively equaling out, rationaling out to the point where with the DHS funding, you'll see the rise of all the PSYOP attacks, and it's perfectly purported in this metric. And I think it's rightly so at the right stage that it's happening, whether it's real or not, organic or not, it's irrelevant. And I think also, if these 2 kids, who apparently the lawyer, okay, they're 19 and what, 20?
18
the lawyer,
and 19.
18 and 19. The lawyer says they didn't know each other. They just bumped into each other at that time. And the one kid was handed off this weapon and he threw it. Look, the idea that they learned how to do this stuff on the internet or through whatever, fine. They found stuff in the car just like they did with Butler. We're right back at Butler. Okay, I think they had handlers. How did these people come from a $2.3 million home that their parents were naturalized just recently from Afghanistan? They came under the Biden administration. Smells like handlers, looks like totally like Butler, totally looks like a scrubbed event, and we'll find out more. Your question that you're asking in general, are we going to see more of this? Yeah, I think you're going to see a culmination of PSYOPs mixed in with real attacks. I do.
Well, I agree with that as well. And again, today's title of today's show, America needs to be aware of Iranian sleeper cells becoming activated. And if you look on YouTube, if you look on the New York Post, if you look on New York Times, left, right, whatever it may be, everyone is talking about sleeper cells. It is getting into the public sphere. It is getting into the collective consciousness for you to, guess what? Probably start seeing, well, we're going to start bringing back the green, yellow, orange, red levels of terroristic
I said that
events.
yesterday, joking around, and the fact that you're saying this now
I
is
said that 2 weeks ago.
I know, but I was being facetious, and you're being realistic.
Sure.
I mean, that usually is the
knew
opposite
it was
way.
coming. I knew it was coming. Anybody with sense could understand that is definitely coming our way. So when it comes to this, I wanted to show you how wild CNN is right here. Let me show you this right here. This is unbelievable. This is just like the speakings of Mamdani the other day, basically blaming this on white supremacy, not talking about anything of a radicalization of two Muslims, anything like that, that this was the fault of white people. Two Pennsylvania teenagers, this is CNN reporting this. Now, let's remember what we saw. Somebody throws something, two cops, black cop, white cop, go after these guys. They defuse this thing, which apparently was an IED, a nail bomb. Could have taken out a lot of people. You just heard it in that clip that this was supposed to take out a lot of people, not just 3 people, by the way. Everything about the Boston Marathon still remains insane to me. It does not seem real. So this doesn't seem real at all. This is how they pussyfoot around. 2 Pennsylvania teenagers just crossed into New York City Saturday morning. This is almost like a child's reading. They crossed into New York City on Saturday morning for what could have been just a normal day, enjoying the city during abnormally warm weather. But in less than an hour, their lives would drastically change, as the pair would be arrested for throwing homemade bombs during an anti-Muslim protest outside of Mayor Zohran Mamdani's home. Does that sound like these were bad people? Besides throwing a homemade bomb, and then they back it up with the next sentence, during an anti-Muslim protest. They are wild for that. None of that's even like, people, there's clips of this, of the guy just being like, no, we respect Iranians, we respect Muslims, and then over the top of the guy's head who was holding the bullhorn goes an IED, throwing it like he's throwing a 30-yard pass down like a post route, just throws it over his head. Unbelievable. And I love this, and I got this from Carly Bonet right here, that this kind of puts everything into perspective right here. And it's exactly what we all think. Diversity is a gift, says the liberal. Allah Akbar, here's a present, bitch. Right in your teeth. Right in your teeth. You got nails. This is how dumb these people are. This is not natural. These people do not like us. So, pulling us into what's been going on, we see Andy Ogle's tweet right here. And of course, it goes down the same exact path. And we'll take a pause after this. Andy Ogles says, my comments are this. Muslims don't belong in American society. Pluralism is a lie. Axios comes back, a left-wing article, pundit, disgusting shit. Representative Andy Ogle's anti-Muslim post sparks furious internal backlash. Well, let's be honest with ourselves. And he says this, my comments wouldn't even be a news story if I said anything about Christians not belonging in American society. Please spare me your moral outrage. Cry harder. And guess what? Christ is king. And he has a great point that for, I would say, since 2008, even before that, Christianity is, we can go back. I'm just talking about in times that we can fully remember where a shift definitely happened. It happened during George Walker Bush Jr., right? Not senior, but junior. We started seeing Comedy Central going far left. Everything was far left. Then we get Obama into the White House. And during that time from Bush into Obama, Christianity was just being wrecked. And then through Obama, it was being wrecked. And then we have President Trump saying, guess what? We're not wrecking Christianity anymore. Why is Christianity always being so beaten down? Because it is powerful and because it is real. And Jesus Christ is our Savior, our Lord and Savior. And always know that. They don't want you to believe in it. They want you to have no hope, as Trump once said earlier. Maybe it been Trusty Turnip. Hope is the key. Moving forward is the key. Prosperity is the key. They do not want this, and they do not like it when representatives like Andy Ogles is saying, listen, spare me your moral outrage and cry harder. Just understand Christ is king. And if I talked about Christians not being allowed in American society, you wouldn't hear a peep from the left-wing news. It was Trusty. Thank you so much. Your thoughts about this, Brett?
Well, yeah, I mean, think about it. We're replacing the Muslim fiend with the Israeli Jew hate. You know what I'm saying? What a lot of people have. And so now, because we're hitting Persia in some way, that Pete Hegseth's, let's just say, quoting scriptures in some way, making this a crusade that, as the media is now emphatically playing out, which I have no problem with. As far as I'm concerned, we are now in, or we have been in, a new Christian crusade, whether you like it or not. We're fighting enemies behind the scenes in the darkness that are the complete opposite of who you and I are. They represent some type of Luciferian dark element, evil force. So yes, behind the scenes, whatever they want to mask themselves in, bathe themselves in, Muslim, Jew, this or that, forget about it. It doesn't matter. The masks are coming off in that level. All right. So whether we are suggesting in some way that the media, who is massively controlled, and they will defend any Muslim terrorists as they can, because it's not really Muslim terrorists, is that they know in some way that these people are being cajoled, being, let's just say, propositioned, handled, maneuvered into these positions. I don't believe for 1 second these kids with all this, they have a car, okay? And a car was found with other explosives and manuals to how to make this stuff. I mean, come on. I mean, I could have watched a Law and Order, Dick Wolf, CIA, FBI show that's on Paramount, okay, and get that type of, let's just say, choreography of acting. I mean, I don't buy any of this stuff. And so I do believe that what we're seeing right now is that we're trying to showcase, and I think that whatever's being illuminated out regarding the Mamdani regime in New York City is to expose not just the extreme Muslim radicalization of Islam per se, and that's what it is. Remember, not all Muslims, all right, are murderers, rapists, and killers. I mean, not all are terrorists, but a plurality, as Andy Ogle said, of Islamists that are Muslims are terrorists. So he is correct, and in factually, I think he's right to say that. I think they were wrong to correct him in some way or misappropriate his commentary. The other thing that you got to consider is that the one thing that I'm really excited about, and as a Floridian, I've been living here over 35 years, who's seen the maturation in Florida, Cuba is next. And I do believe Cuba is bigger than Iran. I believe it's all connected to Venezuela, the North Korea, Iran, the whole thing. This fallout from this, what is going to take place after 67 years? and just move Cuba aside. The ideal of communism is going to be put on full display for everybody to see, to the Marxists, to the communists, in our Congress, in our state legislators,
To the socialists.
to the socialists, to all these people that have this mentality because of colleges and institutions and NGOs. You're going to see, we're going to crack open this giant walnut, okay? This coconut, all right? This rum bottle that is going to be Cuba. And you're going to see what 67 years of communism does to a country. And I believe the exposure of that alone and the reverberation and the fallout is going to kill that ideology once and for all. And I believe it'll destroy Mamdani. I think that guy is I think he's been propped up and put in there in some way. He's an actor playing a part. I don't believe anything about them. Look at his wife and their connections to all these different groups and how he got in there. It's very odd indeed. And I think that someone is pulling his massive puppet strings to be in there to help facilitate. Yeah. I mean, he's an actual psyop himself. How about that? How about I say it in that way? He's an actual psyop himself. And I'd rather just say it that way so I don't go on.
Well, we'll continue with this as well. So, again, just going back into what this show is all about, America needs to be aware of Iranian sleeper cells becoming activated. This is on all fronts, all newspapers, all pundits, and you're seeing it, and this is why. Take a look at this. And, by the way, I just want to say some shout-outs really quick. Thea with the cookie, Thea with the 300 gold pills, Thea with the cookie, and Casey with the shades. Thank you all for what you guys do. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And over here on YouTube, I want to say thank you to Nathan Davis. Glad you were back after so many years. Thank you for the $4.99. I really do appreciate that. Big lead. Thank you guys so very much. W's in the chat on both Pilled and YouTube. Show that love. Show that support. We really do appreciate it. All right. Very cool stuff. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. So, again, sleeper cells have awakened. We're going to get into it right now.
And their senior executive to discuss the incident. Be rest assured, those conversations are also occurring in Ottawa between officials there and their U.S. counterparts at the embassy.
Senator Ford was just speaking, and he mentioned something about how he believes sleeper cells are operating in Canada right now. Is there anything you can share about any intelligence about incidents like this one or others that were?
She's saying that our sleeper cells becoming more activated in Canada. That is what she's saying, that she's hearing rumors of this.
Being orders from outside the country.
Yeah, I don't have any information to provide at this time on any sleeper cells that may or may not exist in Canada. Suffice to say that our CSIS counterparts and the INSETs across the country are actively investigating matters such as this, and we will continue to do so. I think it's important that the public realizes that we've had a number of meetings and discussions already this morning with our federal counterparts, and that does include CSIS both here in Toronto region and at national headquarters, and they are tracking this incident very closely as well.
When you mentioned stepped up security at consulates, do you just mean American consulates in Canada or other countries' consulates and embassies as well?
Other consulates as well, including the Israeli consulate, will be seeing a change in the security posture.
So she asks at the end, she goes, was at the consulate, which I guess is basically where this shooting took place in Toronto, were Americans involved? Was it just Americans? He said no, Israelis. So he's saying that it may not even have been Canadians, and it took place in Canada. So again, what you're looking at is we have the crosshairs on Americans and also on Israelis in this country taking place right now. Sleeper cells activated. He's saying, I don't know. That may
so
or
was
may
shots
not
fired
be
at the embassy?
Yes.
Was it shots fired at the embassy?
100%.
Is that what they're, okay, so shots were fired at the embassy. Shots were fired at some synagogue in Baltimore. has anybody been arrested? We know that Canada has a large Muslim population. They're fucked. They also have a Chinese population. All right, and they're
Massive.
moving towards trade with China and walking away with the United States. And Trump says you're gonna fucking lose. You're gonna lose big time on this. And I think in some way, eventually they will come to grips with their reality. Ultimately, what we're seeing right now is that, again, I'm not calling this a psyop, but just blazing bullets at a consulate, blazing bullets at a synagogue. You notice how that is systematic with all this stuff. Has people been arrested? Has anybody been injured per se? We saw a cop that was shot in Pennsylvania that was a cop hater, and they're saying now he was a Muslim activist. So right now,
And the two guys that threw the IED.
right. Well, here's the thing about this, okay? And
In New
look,
York.
what I'm saying is that we all remember, I don't know, at least most of us, at least I do, remember 9/11 and everything about that, and then what followed subsequently for years thereafter. I followed the anthrax attacks because it directly affected me. What I'm saying is that what is precipitated thereafter, it looks like in some way, and remember, not Persians are not Muslims, okay? Not all of them are Islamists and so, or practice in that faith. A lot of them are Western, okay? There are hardliners in some way, but not are that. This is not a country like Iraq. This is not a country like Saudi Arabia or Qatar in some way. So I would be careful about suggesting and making this out in some ways that when President Trump gives a timetable, he's doing it to lower the temperature, all right, of the fodder, of the frothing of the mouth, like say Lindsey Graham. You can't determine if it's foam or cum, because that guy is the most vitriolic, hateful son of a bitch ever, next to Randy Fine. He wants to murder every Palestinian child or Lebanese kid he can, because he's not a Christian, he's a Jew. And you know what? As for Lindsey Graham, he knows in some way is that he's got to go out there and pom-pom. And what I'm concerned about, okay, and stuff, I think that there's going to be a discussion with the DHS being now, let's just say, targeted of not being utilized because it's been on, let's just say, life support because they're not passing any funding. And that's why they moved everybody aside, appointed a new secretary. My concern is that we're going to see the rise of the chaos, whether it's PSYOP or not, for the very reason, and then it's going to be orchestrated out to our various groups of people, all right? And the thing is, should we target all Muslims? No. But are Muslims going to be targeted? Absolutely. Are Jews going to be targeted? No, not at this moment. But Jews are targeted, Israelis are targeted because of what they're doing in Lebanon. So what we're going to see is a bifurcation of conversations about how we're going to legislate this law out, how to, the war out, how are we going to get out of it, what is going to continue on and precipitate. I mean, let me say this. If you think there's no ground troops there, you're fucking fooling yourself. There are clandestine JSOC, Delta Force, special operations inside that ground, securing any opportunity to find, let's be clear, find any uranium enrichment. Because once they do, and they know where it's at, and they remove all of that hasn't been destroyed, that's when we leave Iran. Do you understand that? That's when we leave them alone and say, good luck, have fun, figure it out, because you've been decimated. There's no opportunity for this, whether you want to structurally build up and rebuild up your drone technology. You know, I thought it was odd. President Trump speaking yesterday in Doral before he came back, he said to his generals, why do we have to sink these ships? Why can't we just capture them and take them over like pirates? Think about that. And he didn't say the term pirates. I'm interjecting that. And then so we take them over. We transform them. Let's just put it this way, reverse engineer. We look at all the technology where they're getting from. Wouldn't it be better in some way? And that's how he thinks. He thinks in that manner. And I thought that was a brilliant way of thinking and posing that question, saying, because we have a lot of war hawks that just want to kill as many people as they can. And he's saying that, wouldn't it be better to capture these people And then Marshall said, a brilliant thought. He goes, yeah, and then what would he do? And then all we do is not torture them, not waterboard them. We extract information from them as best we can. We hold on to this technology. Where did they get this from? We find information in that matter. I thought that was the most illuminating thought, and no one really, it just went over people's head. And then Lindsey Graham, and then again, Lindsey Graham is like bloodthirsty, cum coming out of one side of his mouth, blood coming out of the other, just salivating in just like, I can't get enough, like Dracula. It is almost like embarrassing. And there are people that I'm concerned when you see people like this and you see this that are connected to President Trump. I am deeply concerned. I know he's exposing Lindsey Graham. He's parading Lindsey Graham around. I mean, and Lindsey Graham does it on his own perfectly. But there are other people. In general that act in this matter, and some Randy Fine, horrible, horrible human being who speaks in this matter. Kill Palestinian babies. Yeah, I don't wake up every day and say, I know the PLO and all the problems they have in Hamas, and yeah, they're terrorists and stuff, and yeah, but let's just kill their kids, and maybe that will change everything. Yeah, I don't wake up every day thinking I want to fucking blood slaughter children. Okay, I don't. But I think that there is some type of, let's just say, revelation that we're experiencing, Thomas, that we're seeing right now. President Trump is taking a step back, and he's allowing people to speak their mind on what is taking place. And the bloodlust from Israel for what they're doing in Lebanon, they killed over 100 and something children. But see, the media doesn't talk about that. They're talking about this elementary school that we may or may not have bombed, according to Axios and Brett Baer of Fox News, and there's no information to prove otherwise. But if your munitions were there, like they do in Gaza, what's the difference?
They set them right up next side to a hospital, a daycare, a school, people's homes. That's what they do. They don't care about their people in Iran at all, and that's what takes place, and that's what happens. And that's why you'll be getting this information out of there that makes the U.S. sound like we have a bloodlust, and what we want to do is to destroy everything on, within and all around Iran and everything else.
I don't want to kill the people. I don't want to kill the people. I don't.
Nobody does. And I don't think our military does at all.
No, I don't think so either.
But when you look at somebody like you mentioned, Light and Loafers, Lindsey Graham, who in 2004, 2006, 2002, one of those dates, got about $7 million from Raytheon and or Lockheed Martin. You're bought and paid for. You're bought and paid for, and that's
was that funnel for the Ukraine war and the LLCs?
No,
he's under indictment. He's under indictment for that.
Okay,
he's under
but this
indictment
was long before. This is when you would not hear about Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham, and by the way, we talked about it yesterday because Freddie Colton is also a South Carolinian. He's from Pennsylvania, but has lived here for, I'd probably say about a decade. And he understands, and I understand, that whether you're left, right, center, it does not matter. Nobody likes Lindsey Graham. And to watch what George Santos posted yesterday was talking about, you can just see him salivating over this, is unbelievable. We watched the video yesterday. It is unnerving how someone can get off on something like this. It's not normal by any means.
And he's not the only one.
He's not that he's the only one, but just to show him doing that is unnerving.
So you think President Trump, by pulling back and saying, we're going to end this quickly, which changed the oil manifest, the structure. I mean, we understand speculation and manipulation. We understand what the hedge funders are doing with the oil, the oil companies per se, and him saying that dropped the percentage down from 119, 32% to about 8. It's about 88 oils trading right now. And so, I mean, President Trump is, look, the fact that he hasn't called out the oil companies, because look, you're going to have inroads into Venezuela. You know what? It's the speculations, the hedge funders, the people that basically, bet on the futures and short everything. They're the ones that really set everything, and that's the problem where we are right now. And a lot of people are focused on, well, my gas is up, and that means my food's going to be up and stuff. And they're like, it's a short term. They can't handle this stuff. I mean, these people, just imagine they lived in the Depression. Just imagine they wouldn't make it. You know, we have a lot of people that just are not going to make it, okay? And I say this all the time because they don't have the short-term or the long-term viability to deal with anything. That's why they have become the complete and utter fools of black pillars they are, because they're swallowing so much negativity, all right? And they don't see the future paradigm that could be placed out there in some way. I mean, in order for us to have peace, Iran had to be, let's just neutered. And I'll leave it at that, neutered, okay?
I like it. I like it. By the way, if you're not prepared, TRUreportingGold.com. Look into it. Send them a message. Call them. Give them a ring. You'll talk to a person and be like, God, like, I was talking to Freddie yesterday. Freddie Colton, if you got, he was the co-host on Mondays. Brett's co-host on Tuesdays. On Monday, you know, Freddie Colton was like, yo, my parents, you know, they've done well. They've done, you know, pretty good with themselves. Had a retirement, all this kind of stuff. And he was just saying, listen, they had a bunch of silver, and they
me too. I have a lot. I'm big silver. I've been big for a long time.
After the show, I showed him how much I have, and he goes, my parents turned in a quarter of what you have, and they got over $10,000. And I was like, let's go. Like, it is a real thing. So again, they had a quarter.
To me, I think silver is the gold mine of everything, because it's been kept so low for so many decades that when you really think about it, gold is always going to rise higher, 3 times higher than silver, if that's how you speculate. But silver was, let's just say, massively kept down. Look, I see silver in probably 2 years trading at over 1,000. I'm serious. And people are like, you're fucking crazy. I'm like, if you have silver, you'll make over $1 million. I know I will. And that's what I'm spent. I guarantee that silver will be
your silver. Yes,
I guarantee it'll be trading 900 to 1,000 in 2 years. And if you had silver for a long time, you'll be a millionaire.
Well, I have a good bit of it. Thanks to Noble Gold. I appreciate that. Let's go ahead and get into this. This is a longer video. This is talking about sleeper cells activated. Again, this is Matt Gaetz. Let's take a listen, and I believe this is pretty interesting. So, by the way, if you're watching the show, please help out. You know what to do. 5,000 gold pill challenge. We didn't hit it yesterday. Super chats are much appreciated. Hit that as well. And if you're on Rumble, you know what to do. Rumble rants activated. Unlike, I pray to God, these sleeper cells. Let's go.
Army Lieutenant General, former National Security Advisor to President Trump, former Director of National Intelligence for President Obama, General Michael Flynn. General, we now see fronts opening up in this war in Lebanon, in Iraq. Do you see the war as expanding or contracting in the current moment?
Yeah, I think it's expanding, Matt. I honestly, and I also think that we're going to see a front here in the United States of America. There's some reporting now of some communications that apparently have been intercepted about waking up some of these sleeper cells right here in America. So when we talk about this war is not going to be just isolated to the Persian Gulf or Iran or even some of the Middle Eastern countries that you just stated and you have on the screen here, like when we talk about Lebanon or Iraq or Jordan or Abu Dhabi or UAE, etc. I do think that we're going to see an expansion of it. They may not be as strong as they once were because, of course, their Navy's been destroyed. They're continuing, Israel and the United States is continuing to pound on their ballistic missile capability. But the Iranian military is a powerful, powerful military. And I'm not sure we've even touched on their conventional ground force capabilities. I mean, they have a large artillery capability. They have a very, very extensive military, and hopefully some of these people in the conventional Iranian military will turn on the government and join the protesters. But I want people to understand that these guys have had like 40 plus years to prepare for this kind of thing, and this is not a third world country at all. This is a very sophisticated country. They have clearly their problems ideologically, but It's a relatively sophisticated country. One last point before, Matt, is that I want people to understand that Iran is almost 4 times the size of California, of the state of California, with 90 million people. This is not a small country like, frankly, like Iraq or Afghanistan or Vietnam, in our past. So this is a gigantic piece of geography with 90 million people. So when we talk about, there's Kurds coming in from the north, or we've got, some small conventional or maybe some guerrilla fighting in some part of it. It would be like a local town in the southern part of San Diego that's trying to stop a criminal gang, but you have the rest of the state of California. Well, this country is almost 4 times the size of California. We need to keep that in mind.
Given that, do you think it's likely that the regime survives and that the IRGC is the principal force governing the country 30, 120 days from now?
Yeah, this is going to be the $64,000 question, and this is, we're engaged. I'm not necessarily for this action, to be honest with you. You really want diplomacy to succeed, and what we've always said is that war is a failure of diplomacy. And I just heard President Trump's press conference that he just had. And I caught some of the answers to his questions about the way he felt about how we had to go in here and do this, and that's fine. I mean, they made decisions, but the point now is we're here, we are engaged, and so it's one of these old adages about you may not want war, but war wants you, and once it gets a hold of you, Matt, it's very hard to extract. So at some point in time, and very soon, President Trump's going to have to figure out is, to declare victory and go home, right? And what does that mean? How does that look? Does that mean that we take one of the 2 aircraft carrier battle groups that we have in there out of the area and bring them back home? I mean, there's been one of those aircraft carrier battle groups has been overextended in its deployment, anyways, by I think another 3 or 4 months. So
if we did that, General, if we declared victory and went home with now the Ayatollah's son reportedly being designated the new supreme leader, what do you think would happen in Iran?
Yeah, I think that there would be a bloodletting on the people, on the protesters that basically started this thing. And it's mostly, I keep saying this, Matt, it's mostly young women who are sick and tired of being basically brutalized by their own regime. And of course, the young protesters, and it's what happened in 1979 that brought the Ayatollah into power in the first place. The colleges and the universities in Iran are the ones that overthrew, the Shah. So now we're in kind of a reverse role where they're tired of it. The young people are tired of it. They see the idea of modernity in the rest of the world. They see the application of things like media and social media.
But the protesters aren't going to win right now. Nothing to me indicates right now that the protesters are winning, that they're converting people from the IRGC to their cause. That's not happening. What's happening is ballistic missile launches and the expansion of the war. And I think your analysis is right on. There's a lot more bloodshed ahead with the regime. So how long, I think this is a really important component of the conflict, how long do you believe Iran can keep up its regional ballistic missile campaign?
Yeah, so the way that I analyze this current war right now is that Iran is going into a war of attrition, which means that they are going to, it's kind of like the rope-a-dope in boxing, right? They can take that for a long time because, again, I've already explained the geography and the size of their other parts of their military, which are extensive. I mean, their conventional military is a gigantic military. So we are now moving into what I call a war of asymmetry and attrition. And the asymmetry is how they plan on fighting back in the region, attacking other partners in the region that we have. And also, I think we're going to see sleeper cells right here in the United States of America. I'm afraid of that because it's going to cause some devastation. But it's the kind of thing that it's how asymmetrical warfare occurs. And then the other component of this war that we are walking into is a war of attrition. And that's what we fought in Afghanistan and Iraq, and we lost in both cases. So the other thing, one other point, Matt, real quick, there's no leaders emerging from the protesters. We don't see like some general or some enlightened individual who everybody goes, oh, this is the future of our. We don't see that. Everybody's talking about Pahlavi coming back.
No.
Until leaders emerge, these protesters are kind of on their own. And at a certain point in time, the American people are going to put the pressure on President Trump, to say, hey, either you declare victory and come home, or what? What are we going to do here?
No, I think that's exactly where we sit in this moment. So put yourself back in your old job. If you're sitting in the Situation Room as the National Security Advisor or the Director of National Intelligence, and the question arises how to declare victory and walk off the field in the best condition, what would be your counsel?
Yeah, my counsel would be that, and this is based on the objectives that were stated, okay? Because my initial counsel would be keep exercising diplomacy. Let's bring them back to the table. I mean, but we're past that, right? So the objectives of completely destroying their ballistic missile capability, giving them no opportunity to ever build a nuclear weapon, destroying their Navy, which looks like it's pretty damn close to being destroyed. So those are tactical objectives that are going to take some time. I mean, the Navy is not that hard. Ronald Reagan destroyed half their Navy back in the 80s in like less than a day and a half. So the Navy is not that difficult to destroy.
They don't use the Navy to project power. They use the ballistic missile program to project power.
Inside. So it's a very tactical Navy. But the ballistic missile capability is extensive. The ability to be able to manufacture the missiles. Their drone capability, we're seeing a drone capability. We're talking thousands and thousands of drones. So they have stockpiles. They're not just a one and done. This is a country that develops stockpiles. That's going to take a while. But when those three objectives are done, then I would declare victory, and then I would go into what we call containment in the military, a strategy of containment to contain that country where it's at. And then we're going to have to be prepared to operate right here in the United States homeland.
Yeah.
And this is where the Department of Homeland Security, our local law enforcement, federal law enforcement, state, people are going to have to be, heads on a swivel to be paying very close attention to the kinds of things that we just witnessed up in New York City with these guys that almost lit off a bomb. So I'm telling you, that is a real problem, and it's something that we're going to have to pay very close attention to.
Yeah, it's also a good reason for Democrats to not be holding up the funding bill for the Department of Homeland Security so that we can capture 100%. This chatter and analyze it. Former National Security Advisor,
Can't have the Democrats holding this up because guess what? That is a loophole. That is an opening for these people to come in and do drastic harm to a lot of people that may not even be expecting this. It doesn't matter if you're in Kansas. It doesn't matter if you're in major cities. You could be in the Midwest, in a small place, an airport for sure. Anything can happen at this point, whether it's a big city or a small town. Doesn't matter. Hijackings, shootings, it does not matter. Bomb threats, grounding of airplanes, EMPs, it does not matter. Brett, your thought on what General Flynn was saying about taking out the drone strikes, taking out most of their missile defenses, but when it comes to all of that we will see domestic violence, or not domestic violence, but violence on the domestic front of our country.
Well, I'll see that General Flynn would know as much as he knows as being a lieutenant general in the military about Iran. I'm not. I don't necessarily follow him and listen to his discussions per se, and I would take umbrance with the conversation about, balancing out between the fear porn about there's going to be more subjectivity regarding how viewpoints are put out regarding these operational terrorist cells that are going to sleeper cells, what have you, as even President Trump says, that has been indicative. And I wonder if President Trump putting that out there wanted to see how many people, when he was asked that question, how many people would follow up with that and then roll with that metric to continue on with that thing. But see, I'm not wanting to say that we're going to experience all this. What I'm saying is and I'm concerned about this is that we should be careful about what we see as a real terrorist attack versus something that was simultaneously set up as a straw man, a psyop, so to speak, a misop. That's the way I look at it in some way. I guess we don't know how many illegal people came in that were fighters and terrorists from nations like China, Mexico, Venezuela, what have you, even Iran. We just don't know. I don't think we're going to know. And yes, we should be vigilant about how we respond about this, but New York is being now set up. I think it's being totally set up as the fall guy for the next operational scenario of the closest event of a 9/11. I think so. There is the way, that's how it's being provocated out. That's how it's being perceived. That's the perception management. And the media is doing a wonderful job of trying to push that away. But it doesn't mean it's only New York City. I mean, obviously, with DHS being shut down and defunded, and then you got Lewandowski, you got this, you got all these people just moved away, as the Democrats want. This is also an operation in some way to out the Democrats. They're the ones who defunded this. They're not signing off on this in the Senate. They're basically, with some rhinos, they basically said, no, we're not going to do this. And you know what? We're going to let the activities continue on. Think about the agencies or the branches of government that fall under DHS. And then they're not getting paid for almost 25 days. We're going on almost 25 days. TSA, you're going to see you already saw a possibility with a plane hijacking. You might even see it again. I think that
I would agree to that. Yeah.
How Flynn is basically positioning this in some way and running with this and stuff. He's right about Iran to a lesser degree, and he would know more than me. I mean, it's being reported right now that the IRGC is dropping these mines inside the Strait of Hormuz. Well, wait a minute. If 47 ships were destroyed, we don't know how many submarines, as 46. And then, so how were they just pushing them off the ravine, the cliffs, the rocks into the waters? And there's just like these giant World War II mines. And now Trump had to speak about that and say, I was just looking at it right now. It's like, it's not true. This is all a fabrication. People are making this shit up. It's also what it is to hurt and strangle the administration and also to attack the Strait of Hormuz and propagate and agitprop a narrative to make sure that there's less ships coming through and the maneuver of crude oil doesn't get delineated in some way. And look, from all evidence in some way, it's all about economics when you break it down.
100%.
It's all about economics, because how we perceive this, all right, and how the black pills perceive it, how the non-Trumpers perceive it, how is anybody's going to perceive it and say, my gas is up, that means my food's going to go up, that means the distribution, this, that, the other things are going to go up in the short term, okay? But it will drop. It will go down, okay? But in an election year, Republicans are saying we're not going to move forward with the SAVE Act, and it doesn't matter what Trump said about Cornyn, and Trump comes out on the NOAA report and says, look, and I've read it for Trending Politics and other places, he said, I'm not going to pick a winner and nominate who I want to support for the Cornyn-Paxson deal. And so you know what that says? Go out in Texas, MAGA, and vote for Paxson. That's what it's going to do.
What do you think about this? This is a great question from Nathan Davis on YouTube. Iran has smaller vessels capable of distributing mines through these canals, through these waterways. But I would imagine that threat was neutralized before Epic Fury.
Well, I'd have to say, first of all,
that's all speculation too.
We've heard only one submarine attack that shot a vessel that was outside the Strait of Hormuz. All right, so you have to consider, with every contingent USS aircraft carrier. There's 2 of them in there, or one is positioned outside of it and one is positioned in. I forget the one that's positioned outside. What I'm saying is that there's always a contingency of at least 2 submarines. So I would suggest that we don't know how many submarines have been deployed to that area or outside the area to sink and to mine all these other things. You got to also consider that there are cruisers and frigates and all these ships that are outside battleships that are there to mine or unmine these operations per se and map this out. And I don't know. I think that is perfectly left to be hidden away. I mean, I think the general, Raising Cane, the Joint Chief of Staff. I mean, the chief, he should be answering this question, or that question should be posed. He's not going to, tip his hand in some way. But, Trump came out in some way. I'm sure tomorrow in a press conference, Raising Cane will address the fact is like, have we unmined? Have we made sure that there are no more barriers or contingencies? I mean, that just came out right now. And NBC and other sayings that, and I think they're doing this to drum up negativity, propagandist bullshit, so they can still hurt the Trump administration by holding the cargoes from going through and hurting the actual oil pricing. And that's what it is. It's all, it's funny. It's so, so many black pillars are out there have no idea about how oil is done and how oil is. And I compared it to what it is, what banks do when they come and appraise your home. And what I'll say is, in the same similar fashion, is that when you want to sell your home or buy a home, all right, the banks will send somebody out. You will hire somebody else on your own independent status to make an appraisal outside their determination. That's how speculation works. That's how they actually get away with the grifting and the grafting in this matter with the manipulation. It's no different from during hurricanes or natural disasters that the price gouging will go up, because when you think about it, when the areas are shut down and there's no distribution or transportation, that's how the speculation basically says, well, we're going to long this for 6 days and we'll short it for 4. And that's how they operate. And that's how the price gouging is. I mean, President Trump can tell the oil and gas community of the hedge funders, knock it off, knock it down. He could go after them directly. He could, but he's not going to do that. He's not going to do that. All right. He wants you to see this and how it is. All right. And I want to be clear about this. It's not President Trump. It's not even about the war. It's not about Qatar, Saudi Arabia. All this refined oil is at its local stations. We're not going to open up reserves. These other places are not going to open reserves. It's making sure that these ships pass through the Strait of Hormuz without long-term significant damage, and they're going to be insured in case shit happens, and we are insuring them.
I understand that, and it is also a fact of we have to keep these countries separate, that they are not allowed to do these sorts of inside dealings and prop up a globalist scenario of a boogeyman. We do not want that anymore. There's always been a boogeyman. Is anyone talking about North Korea anymore? No. Take that back to the Q post. Imagine that is all gone. But now you're starting to see Iran, take them out. We're going to go to Cuba, take them out. Venezuela's been taken out. You're taking out this entire thing that is fueling, who's the biggest boogeyman? China.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to interrupt, but what if Iran was to sell them money? I'm being facetious, but
I understand.
Transfer money. We'll just say you use the term Zelle because everybody knows what it means. A bank transfer for a nuclear missile, and a nuclear missile will be transported over there, not through Zelle, but it would be moved. I mean, obviously, we're going to have eyes on it. Is that possible? Do you think it's probable in some way that they can say, hey, we're going to bank transfer Zelle you money. We want a nuke. And we want to, because what are they going to do?
China
are they
has nukes.
No, I'm talking North Korea.
Oh, no. I think that's been dismantled.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my personal opinion.
I don't think it's been dismantled per se, but I'm just saying,
dismantled in the fact that what we perceive North Korea to be is not North Korea that we
No.
perceived during the Obama
Same thing
era.
as Iran. Who do you think Iran is propped
No,
up
and
by?
I don't agree with that. I agree
Right.
that Iran was definitely 100% a threat. I didn't know that they were, quote unquote, perhaps 2 weeks away from creating a nuclear bomb that they were able to do something with. Are there nukes? I don't know. Are they real? I don't know. But
I don't think we could prove it.
But
and
there's
I'll
no way
leave
that
it
we
at
can
that.
prove it. We can only assume, but all and speculate. But what I'm telling you is when it comes to these countries, I really do believe what Michael Flynn was saying, listen, this place is huge. 90 million people live there. I don't know how many people live in North Korea. This is not Afghanistan. This is not Iraq. This is not being placed in the middle of, warfare where thousands and thousands of people are going to die. Hundreds of thousands of people are going to die over a 20-year span of war. I don't think it's going to be that. I think that North Korea was denuclearized. I do believe in those posts that it was saying that we went in, we took them out, they are no longer a threat. They were a threat for so many years. Growing up, could you imagine? Even after 2001, 9/11, you would hear about this. Oh, North Korea, though. North Korea, it was so prominent in the Obama era, and it's no longer a thing anymore. No one even talks about it right now. I
don't disagree. I was just throwing that out there as
I'm
a
not saying
as a
you
suggestion.
disagree.
Can Iran in some way? Because they had pallets of.
They said
honestly,
it was 2 weeks away. President Trump
Yeah.
said 2 weeks away from creating something that would cause mass genocide. That is 100% what he said.
I know.
And
But do you believe it?
yes.
I'll say this, though. We've been dealing with them since 1979, and thousands of American soldiers who have been murdered. It's long overdue, and I'll leave it at that. Okay? And that's better a way of, looking at this with the Iraq war and Afghanistan. They become a thorn in our side, thorn in the Middle East. And I would also say is that if you want to have a peace board, peace council, well, then you got to neuter Iran to make sure that all the other countries feel safe and peaceful. And I'll leave it at that's my extrapolation.
And I agree with that as well. Would North Korea create a nuclear bomb within the next 14 days if we did not do this 10 days ago?
Yeah.
Perhaps. Or they would have sent an assault on another country that the likes that we had never seen before. This isn't, just like Michael Flynn was saying, this isn't a small place. I don't know how big these countries are over there. Would I ever go over there? Never. Do I study how big these places are? No, I don't at all. I have no idea how big they are. To think that Iran is 4 times the size of California, which is...
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Isn't that our biggest state? I think it's bigger than Texas.
Well, they have 40 million of population in California, and they have
90 million in Iran.
Almost doubled in Iran. That's what I'm saying is that we have to guard against, I think, the fever, the outrage of this is where a lot of stuff plays into. Look what's happening in Lebanon and Hezbollah. I am deeply, deeply concerned. We can't take a back seat and said, let Israel finish the rest. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
Absolutely not. That's why.
And then have Lindsey Graham lead this charge?
No, he's not leading any charge.
No, I know he's not leading anything.
Yeah.
But the way he's speaking in some way,
propagandizing.
Like, I'm siding with the Israelis because the anti-Semites, and if we leave, we're going to do the job here. What are you saying? You're saying is basically you're not really an American citizen. You don't really care about Americans. You don't care what Trump is saying and stuff. And I think they're only going to go so far. Look, the end game of Iran will be left into a multifaceted decision left on special ops and stockpiles with nuclear material, and whether there's a ceasefire and a nuclear deal by twisting the arm and them claiming uncle. That's the only 2 ways I see this happening. Trump is not going to walk away, or the military is going to walk away without the ceasefire, which equals a nuclear deal, and a special operation force on the ground searching materials of stockpiles. Yeah.
It's pussyfooting to think. No, it is to think that, oh, we're gonna they're gonna call a ceasefire, blah blah blah, and we're not gonna go.
No, they're not. I'm not saying they are. He's gonna have to negotiate with them in order to force them into a ceasefire based upon a new nuclear deal. Remember, the nuclear deal has never worked out. They gave them billions of dollars, Obama and Harris and Biden. They released all the bank accounts for them to free flowing out. We need to cut. I know Treasury Secretary Bessent has been saying we've let's just say interdicted and reset this. But I'm saying Special Ops JSOC, they're already there. They're searching out the materials and other information to find out. There are boots on the ground, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be fooled by that. They are searching out and seeking out what we can control, find, position, either destroy, maintain, or leave with. Either way.
What do you think about this? Zach from Tennessee says, letting Israel finish it on their own is the perfect scenario for saving Israel for last.
It's a good concept. I've heard that twice, Zach, and I think you're right. I'm sorry I missed your phone call 2 days ago. I've been out of town, but I agree with your supposition because I heard this from 3 other people that make that comment in that generality, and I think in some ways that if we were to, let's just say, back off, all right, and let's just not take a knee, but let's just say we're going to take a break. I'm just going to fold my arms. And then we're going to let Israel do it. And I think that is a clear understanding is that how far are they willing to go, okay, with us saying, hey, we're going to just take a break on this. We're going to see how this goes. And then if Israel decides to go on its own and do something outside the bounds, as you're suggesting, which could be really, let's just say, demonstrative and could be problematic and upset the apple cart of this peace board inside what President Trump has put together with all these Arab nations and Israel and Turkey. I have to tell you right now, it could really change the trajectory of all this stuff. And yes, your point is valid. And that would showcase that Israel is really, bottom line is at least the higher tier, the corrupt, emblematic people, Herzog, Netanyahu, Mossad, all the people that are in the chain of command that would do something that could really set things off ablaze, tactically nuke something and kill innocent civilians. Israel will be destroyed.
Wasn't it proposed, and this was almost 2 weeks ago, Zach and everyone listening in the chat, Brett as well, it was proposed, and we read the article, you were on the show, that Israel is like, listen, we'll do this. Just get us kind of through the hardships of all of this. Get us into where we feel comfortable doing this on our own. Doesn't that set up the fact of what Zach just said? That was in many an article. I believe it was in left-wing articles, by the way.
Yeah, Information Liberation had misquoted Rubio, the Secretary of State, saying that we forced our hand. That what it is I don't think we forced our hand. I think the reason we were there, and my suggestion is that we were there to prevent Israel from going ham. What I mean ham is that they were willing to go tactical nuke. They don't have the operational skilled assets to pinpoint these attacks. And then when they hit a desalination plant, when they hit oil fields, that's when they were told to stand down, and Trump went ballistic. And it wasn't, and it's true, because there are many articles that were left and right wing that wrote about this and said Israel has to take a back seat about this. And it's a good example of what you're suggesting, Zach and Tom, that if we do let them go, let's just say uncontrolled, they will kill every fucking Persian as they possibly
100%,
can.
just like they did with the
Gazans. And I'm just like, that would be the end of Israel, as far as I'm concerned, because that would be the last interdiction that anybody on the right or the left, whether you stand for this or not, can tolerate. Because I don't want to see that. And if that happens, I'm done. I am completely out. And I would say, fuck nuke Israel, because they would have to surrender in some way. We'd have to cut them off. As you said, a divorce. We'd have to TRW.
That was 2 weeks ago.
A restraining order. My point is this. They got to get this stuff uncontrolled, because if you have Lindsey Graham as the spokesperson for the state of Israel speaking in this matter, Is he preempting the actual opportunity for them to go ham? We can't allow this. He hurts the administration.
He does.
They hurt the
Let me read
administration.
this.
And if you're a Trump supporter, you cannot allow this.
Let me read this, and you're making a lot of sense, and it goes along with it. How far the Samson option, the Samson Accord, of course, which I think has been diffused for full effect when the red pills start falling like rain. If you can diffuse that Samson the Samson Accord,
The Samson option written by Seymour Hersh in
Yes.
the early 90s about tactical nukes set around
Yes.
the United States that
Da-da-da-da-doom.
would go off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Maybe that has been dismantled, and I pray that it has. I want to get off Israel right now. I want to get off this
go ahead.
because I want to get back into the United States.
I'll send you the book. I have the book. It's
He wrote
in
a book about
Seymour Hersh wrote a book. It's called The Samson
I
Option.
thought you wrote the book.
No,
I was
no,
kidding.
no,
I'm
no,
joking.
no, no.
I'm joking.
Well, I don't want to say that, and then you know what's going to happen. But like, he said he wrote the book, and I'm like, no, what I'm saying is, I had the book, I read it, I bought it, and it's about the idea, a theory that Seymour Hersh, who was a Jew, an American Jew, who said that Israel has co-opted the United States in so many different ways. He was the first one to write this and promulgate this theory.
It is the
and that
Samson
there are
option,
tactical nukes all over these cities to bring about our destruction if we don't follow suit with their protocols. Do you understand?
Yes.
That was the Samson. You can buy it on Amazon. Go buy it.
I
have it. I've had it for 20 years.
The sum of all fears is basically what it is. Nathan Davis
Yes.
says over there on YouTube. By the way, if you're enjoying
the same
the show, it is the same thing. If you're over there on Rumble, if you're over there on YouTube, if you're over there on Pilled, please help out with Gold Pills. We really would appreciate that. Keeps us on lock, keeps us moving forward for sure. You're going to see more consistency with this. I just had to get over a lot of stuff with the family. I'm tuned in and I'm back in. I wanted to read this to you. Breaking update. NYPD bomb squad has shut down 10 blocks near Gracie Mansion again over a suspicious package that was found at a nearby park. Gracie Mansion is now being evacuated per Fox. New York is in an absolute spiral, and it is sad to see. Is it? Let's take a listen.
We are seeing that now live outside of Gracie Mansion here in New York City. CB, what are we learning?
Hey, Sandra. Well, we are here in New York City's Upper East Side neighborhood. We're actually a couple blocks down from Gracie Mansion, which, yes, is the home of New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani. Right now, officers are investigating a suspicious device that was found in a popular park nearby called Carl Schurz. We've seen officers block off this area to traffic, and we've got members of the NYPD bomb squad and another command unit that are out here. Again, a suspicious device was located in a nearby park. Someone called it in. I'm told this by a police source, and now officers are investigating. No one is being allowed to drive through this area. And we've also seen, we've also noticed that officers have bomb sniffing dogs that are moving through this area on side streets, going by homes just to look and see whether anything suspicious is uncovered. Obviously, this comes at a very heightened time for people who live in this area because we know a terrorism investigation is underway after the FBI says 2 suspects brought homemade bombs to an anti-Muslim protest in New York City on Saturday. Thankfully, neither detonated, but police have said one of them could have caused a devastating loss of life because it contained a substance called TATP. We also know the investigation into these 2 suspects has now expanded into Pennsylvania, where police say the two men were from. We know overnight there was a controlled detonation at a Pennsylvania storage unit where officers also found more homemade bombs. And now the latest update coming here out of New York City today, the Upper East Side neighborhood, just a couple blocks down from New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani's official residence, Gracie Mansion. Officers telling us a suspicious device was located in a nearby park, and now they are investigating. Again, all the streets have been blocked off to traffic, and we're watching as bomb-sniffing dogs move through this area. Residents that I'm speaking with are definitely on high alert. They're concerned and they're confused. Right now, we don't know whether this package that was noticed in the park is anything serious, but certainly officers have every reason to take it seriously and thoroughly investigate this because, again, on Saturday, police say two suspects brought homemade explosives to an anti-Muslim.
So you have to understand that this is just continuing on and on and on and on. And will it end? No. New York is... Imagine living in New York. Could you even imagine that? Could you even fathom living in New York City where this is going on day in and day out? This is back-to-back days, guys. Back-to-back days. There was somebody was going to throw an EMP into a crowd of people, a nail bomb, multiple bombs, that they had. They were defused, taken in, and now in the same place during Gracie Mansion, right there in front of it, now again another bomb squad is out. This is for the fear of it, CNN. Yeah, I know this is Fox News, but I understand it. But yeah, it's just kind of like you're just going to continue to see this in New York City. Imagine living in New York City. And Mamdani now is, this is who he is. Mamdani hosts anti-Israel activist Mohammed Khalil and his family at the Gracie Mansion for Ramadan. Is this one and the same? I don't want to get canceled, but is this one and the same? He hosted a controversial anti-Israel activist and accused Hamas sympathizers Mohammed Khalil, his wife, and their young son for dinner at Gracie Mansion for the holy month of Ramadan. Last night, as we marked the one-year anniversary of his detention, Rama and I were honored to welcome Mohammed Noor and their son Dean to Gracie Mansion to break out our fast together, Mamdani wrote in a Monday Instagram post. The mayor included a photo of the celebration, hosting his wife, as you could see, and husband, holding a plate of food while standing next to a seated Khalil, who was enjoying his meal with a giant smile. It's a slap in the face to Americans, and that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. That is a slap in the face when it comes to this. Do we even have to talk about how unnerving all of this is? Do we?
I don't. All I could say is that Mamdani is being showcased right now for a lot of people, not just being a Ugandan jihadist associated with Muslim terrorists and a lot of different people, but he's a communist in some way, and I think the expose that's on him is being laid out to the forefront, and that the more and the increasing amount of attacks on New York City will basically force his resignation and change the course of the city's direction, because 84% of all these fucking batshit liberal women who voted for them, according to the straw polls that were put out, Rasmussen said that was what put them over the top, because they can't afford anything, because they can't marry a rich guy. Well, then fucking move the fuck out. And you're fat, ugly, you can't make any money. I don't know what to tell you. Why are you living in the most expensive city in the country? In the interim, what we're about to see is also, I think, simultaneously and secondary, a proportional discussion about how we look about Islamists in the country in general. Are they communists, or are they, as Greg Gutfeld said, extremists, and they should not be here, whether you're from Afghanistan, Pakistan, or any other third world dipshit country. Yeah, and I think that is on display. That's on full display to not only to necessarily exponentially expedite the expulsion of all these people as fast as they can, if we don't end up killing them for committing acts of terrorism, as we should. And as Greg Gutfeld has said on Fox News yesterday, why don't we just shoot these people? I mean, why? I mean, honestly, if that bomb did explode and killed people, why wasn't he killed? Why weren't the other person killed? Here's the other argument. I would also say that there is a demonstration.
I don't like when they're killed. I'll be honest with you. When it comes to like shit like Thomas Crooks, when it comes to other people, I
agree with that. So I was going to go to that, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't want them. I don't. The black cop jumping the barrier, tackling the guy, Diffusing, they defused the bomb, all that kind of stuff. Yes,
No, they didn't defuse the bomb. The bomb did not go off. And again, I think that is the other misnomer here, because they had all this details of information about constructing this element of a TAAP or a TPAA a bomb, tricytone bomb that utilizes all this different stuff in a car that they own, or in a car that he owned, not the other guy. The other guy who just happened to be there and wanted to throw this thing, which is a side note. My understanding about this is that
and they never met before, Brett, so get it right.
Right. I know they never met. According to the lawyer, this was happenstance. But here's the thing. If it's just happenstance, how did they come in some way to connect together? And they just met that day.
Yeah,
how did
that's
they,
all fucking
how did they
shit.
learn how to make this unexplosive bomb? Again, are there handlers there? I would go back to Thomas Crookers.
So, do we even get to that point where are you saying that the bomb just... It almost looked like a Looney Tunes bomb.
I think the bomb was purposely not...
The wick on it was like, 7 inches.
No, it's not to go off. It's not to go off.
Okay.
It was set to not to go off.
It was like a Looney Tunes bomb.
Yeah, I think it was a fake bomb. And even though it had the munitions in it, the nails, the bolts, and all these other things, it didn't have the proper...
it was fake.
Well, you know what? I don't trust the people that are in charge in some way to tell us in some way what this is or not. What I'm saying is that if they had the proper ingredients according to what they found in the cars, did they just basically backstreet this? Meaning they're just like learning to put this together in their back of their car through all this stuff, and they didn't have the time to do it in some type of backroom home in their $2.3 million garage in some way to make sure that this was ready to go? Did they test this out and plan it? We don't know. I think people need to just back up and wait a minute, because if you're suggesting in some way this is real, I think you're fooling yourself. I think this is a total psyop, and you need to control your attitude about how you see this and stuff. You're going to see more of these type of scenarios where, let's just say, non-explosive or non-violent terrorist attacks might kick up in some way, which will lead eventually to other serious stuff in different matters in different states. As for New York, we're seeing the lead up of the fallout of Mamdani. That's what you're showing. He is being set up very soon to be dismissed as mayor. When Cuba falls, and I promise you, when Cuba falls in the next 2-3 weeks, you're going to see the most disheartening, destructive, embarrassing, disgusting thing that you've never seen. If you haven't lived in Florida, in South Florida, understand what Cuban Americans went through. If you haven't seen what we went through in the 80s and the 90s, okay, with the crime, with the Mario boat lift and everything, you haven't seen anything yet, ladies and gentlemen. You're about to see this walnut cracked open, and it is ugly. It is disgusting. This country is about to show you the purest understanding about what communism dictatorship does to a single island of X amount of people and how it wields its power. And this will be utilized to showcase what Mamdani or many other people inside our government or outside our government or we're willing to do. And don't be unafraid about discussing this. You need to understand and have this as a discussion, because this needs to be forefront. I think President Trump is about to showcase Americans, people that think that it's okay to be socialist or Marxist or this, and he's about to show you what truly it is 90 miles off the coast of Florida. I think so, and I'm looking forward to one of the most fascinating, amazing things that are going to take place. This is something that I am totally in, and I can't wait. If I have an opportunity to fly there and record all this stuff, I'll go there. I know Benny Johnson went there, and he's a hack, but he did some good reporting there. I would go there just to show you what is taking place of the fall of Cuba.
Well, Iran leadership says that it's not up to the U.S. or Israel, that we will dictate how the conflicts will conclude, promising revenge until enemies regret their strikes. Bullshit. You are going to be taken out by all of this. The Iranians didn't select a dead guy as a supreme leader, did they? Very interesting. We've talked about this, that the second son of the Ayatollah is out there. It's not even SNL could come up with something as insane as this.
Is he alive? I mean,
So what I originally heard was he was injured, and I was like, well, what's
I
the
heard
injury?
that too.
We talked about that yesterday. This guy doesn't have a leg. His leg was blown off, so he's just there. So again, this is Mojtaba Khamenei was sworn as the new supreme dictator of the terrorist Islamic regime in absentia. They brought out a picture of him while everyone started yelling All Akbar. Let's take a look. Look how weak he is holding up his hands. So weak.
پس از بررسی‌های دقیق و گسترده و استفاده از ظرفیت اصل 108 قانون اساسی مطابق وظیفه شرعی و اعتقاد به حضور حسینی خامنه‌ای را مقدس
The guy's not talking. He's got a guy standing up there talking. But yeah, from what we've heard when it comes to this, that this has to be the strangest inauguration of national leadership in the history of the world. Well, I could think back to the 2020 election with Joe Biden. The Iranian regime just paid homage to a cardboard cutout of a man and named him the leader of the country. The man being Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of a dead guy who has been Iran's supreme leader until the end of last month, when he was unceremoniously de-rezzed by an Israeli airstrike along with the goodly portion of Iranian's regime top brass. There were lots of rumors last week that the airstrike had done some damage to the young, relatively this older man who hurt him. His reputation was that he did not share a vernacular spirit of his father and was a hardliner, an interesting reputation for someone whose commercial life contained an identity as a London luxury real estate baron. The story was kind of sort of dismissed, though Mojtaba hasn't been seen since, including at his own inauguration. So again, this guy, is he dead? Is he alive? His leg was completely blown off. I thought that he was just injured and maybe like some, getting some shrapnel or something like that. Something happened to him, but this guy supposedly is missing a full leg, and that's out there for sure. I want to go into this. This is what the left-wing news is saying, or unless you want to talk about that.
I think they're propping out the Weekend at Bernie's scenario. That's just and that's why Trump is calling out.
Weekend in Iran is what you said.
Yeah, Weekend at Iran. I mean, they're doing Hogleg 71. You're a funny guy. Let's do it. Fund me to send bread to Cuba. I got $5. Laugh out loud. It probably only cost me $50 to live in Cuba. No, you know what the funniest thing is? What I'm trying to say is simply that the fallout of Cuba, Hogleg, is going to be so much bigger, so much. I think you don't even understand the extremities of what it is to crack open this nut. If they fall and we move in, you're going to have a realistic conversation about what is taking place in this country. You have not seen the depravity, the disgustingness. They've been on a blackout for half the year.
Yeah.
They have no food. They have no money. They have no oil. People are starving. You'll probably see bodies lying in the streets. You have no idea how bad it is. And what I'm saying is,
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
Finish your talking.
Go ahead, bro.
No, I was just going to say this, is that when it comes to Venezuela, when it comes to Cuba, when it comes to these countries that are out there, South American countries, all these places are just subsidiaries of Iran funneling into China, China funneling into Iran, back and forth. You cut out these subsidiaries, I think you're going to have a major problem, especially when you cut off, the horse nuts of Iran. I think from there
they affect China. They affect
that is my point. That you are going to see the subsidiaries being taken out, whether this takes 4 to 5 to 6 weeks to take out Iran. If you go into Cuba, I think it's going to be clean and swift. It's going to be much.
What do you think about it? I haven't heard your thought. I mean, I know it doesn't affect you. I mean, you know what the funniest thing is, man? Big names like you. I mean, you're a big name all over the place, but there are other big name accounts that don't speak about Cuba like I do. They don't even want to talk about it. Maybe they don't live in Florida like I do. But what is really just like shocking, and I think in some way, which will be the blowback against the liberal, socialist, Marxist, communist viewpoint, talking
throwing
point,
Mexico in there too.
Yeah, I mean, dude. Yeah, well, Mexico is on the table right now. I mean, President Trump is going ham all over the place. And if you got a problem with this, I got no problem taking out cartels. Got no problem.
Why
got
would
no
anybody?
Problem. And Shinebox, fuck her. Fuck her. Depose her.
Oh, yeah. 12 people died before she got elected.
Half the Mexican government lives in the United States. Do you know that? Half the Mexican government, meaning their senators and their fucking councilmen and their congressmen, live in the southwest quarter of the United States. Why do they do it? Because they're scared shit to live in their own fucking countries. It's absolutely embarrassing.
I think you take out these subsidiaries, and I'm including Mexico about this.
Yeah.
You take out the cartel members. You take out all these places. This is this very strategic plan. Like 15 different spots. Boom, 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 boom. Take out the horse nuts of Iran. You're collapsing the oil going to China. And then China is left. Then we will have to deal with that if the time comes. But if they are so weakened at this point, that will be an easy takeout as well.
Well, the Shield of Americas have been set up in place as President Trump has south of the border to deal with all these people. That's why Kristi Noem has been moved over there. She might be a firebrand to do it. I mean, I don't know about how Ice Barbie is going to handle this in some way. Maybe she was just moved over there to save face for the Trump administration, but I digress. Realistically, I look at Mexico and Cuba in our backyard, the most consequential fallouts of how we see the North American continent. And these two extrapolations will be massive. You will showcase in every way what a cartel functioned social society operates from outside the premise of a fake bagel government of Shinebox, and Cuba, which has basically just been denigrated for 67 years of rot of communism. As for Iran, it is moot. You should not give two shits about Iran. The only thought and only perception that you should have as an afterthought is how we pull out and why we pull out. And also,
it will be distinguished.
Do we give Israel?
Go ahead.
Do we give Israel the carte blanche to go ham? If they do, and we told them to stand down, and they go Samson option, because the Samson option,
then they are safe for last, as Zach from Tennessee was saying.
Well, there was someone in the chat said, "What's the Samson option?" It's called an emergency.
It's basically
deterrence.
Nuclear holocaust.
It's emergency deterrence. If they feel in some way that their enemies and their allies have vacated their, let's just say, their viability to protect them or stand by them, they will protocol that type of option in some way to attack their enemies and allies tactically and nuclearly.
Two words. It's
emergency deterrence.
Hold on, 2 words that he just said. Enemies and allies. Keyword allies.
And I think that might happen.
Place.
Yeah, and Seymour Horsh in 1991 wrote it. I think he's right. I think that they might feel in some way we haven't done enough of a better job. And so if Trump says stand down and they don't listen, well, there you go. There you go. And the question is, how far will they go And if they go that far, what's going to be the fallout from their, let's just say, never-ending bloodthirst?
We got about 12 minutes left, guys. If you want to hit that 5,000 gold pill challenge, please do so. 2 ships would get us there. Help out on YouTube. If you want to send in a super chat.
Let's go. Support the channel.
Support the channel. And also Rumble Rants are much appreciated as well. I want to get into this. Why would President Trump share a clip stating Netanyahu is a deep, dark son of a bitch who's gotten us into endless wars? Let's take a look at this.
The war in Syria, and you may actually hear from grown-up reporters who are lying through their teeth or ignorant beyond imagining that, oh, the war in Syria, yes, Russia intervened in Syria. Well, do you know that that Obama tasked the CIA to overthrow the Syrian government starting 4 years before Russia intervened? What kind of nonsense is that? And how many times did the New York Times report on Operation Timber Sycamore, which was the presidential order to the CIA to overthrow Bashar al-Assad? 3 times in 10 years. This is not democracy. This is a game. And it's a game of narrative. Why did the U.S. invade Iraq in 2003? Well, first of all, it was completely phony pretenses. It wasn't, oh, we were so wrong, they didn't have weapons of mass destruction. They actually did focus groups in the fall of 2002 to find out what would sell that war to the American people. Abe Schultzke, if you want to know the name of the PR genius. They did focus groups on the war. They wanted the war all the time. They had to figure out how to sell the war to the American people, how to scare the shit out of the American people. It was a phony war. Where did that war come from? You know what? It's quite surprising. That war came from Netanyahu, actually. You know that? It's weird. And the way it is that Netanyahu had from 1995 onward the theory that the only way we're going to get rid of Hamas and Hezbollah is by toppling the governments that support them. That's Iraq, Syria, and Iran. And the guy's nothing if not obsessive. And he's still trying to get us to fight Iran this day, this week. He's a deep, dark son of a bitch, sorry to tell you, because he's gotten us into endless wars, and because of the power of all of this in the U.S. politics, he's gotten his way. But that war was totally phony. So what is this democracy versus dictatorship? Come on. These are not even sensible terms.
Democracy versus dictatorships. These aren't even sensible terms, he's saying. If the CIA
I'm angry.
I'm
angry.
If the CIA is overthrowing governments overseas, then they 100% do it here in America. Case in point. And I think that we all have a realization about that. Would you agree? Would anyone in the chat
Well, I'm
care
sorry I
not to-
interrupted. I'm disgusted because this is the whole argument where there is many people with pushing anti-Semitism laws because they're trying to restrain and refrain of our outrage. I mean, there's no Muslim laws in place. They're trying to set up all their own individual state fiefdoms in some way as a pushback about this. But my attitude about how I see this in some way is that we are correct. We are right. All right. The underlying opinion of everything is that many of the blind loyalists, I got you, bro. I'm truly MAGA. I'm a big account. You're just so anti-Semitic. You don't see the bigger picture. No, bro, you're wrong. You were wrong about John Cornyn. You're wrong about Paxson. You're wrong about a lot of things. In fact, a lot of us live in between in the gray. Now, the black pillars, okay, who have justifiable discussions about how they see things are using this as a narrative to what? To break down all this stuff, to attack us and to siege power and to convince you that these blind loyalists are out of control. What the problem is that we reside inside the gray and we operate and think inside that matter. I'm not controlled by people who say this or that, and I'm not controlled by people that say that or this, all right, because they're blind loyalists. I operate as a Trump supporter 100%. Do I like all the cabinet? No, all right. Do I have a lot to bitch about and moan? Yeah, and I'm glad. All right, DHS secretary is gone. There's a reason she was gone. And I was the only person critical. I didn't say about Kash Patel. I like him. I didn't have a problem with Mamdani. I like her. All right, I had a problem with her. And everything that was charted out that I
But
said
you had a problem.
once on my show, she was what? And now she's moved into another position. Whatever. But you got rid of Greg Bovino. You understand? They went into the heart of the most disgusting, deliberate, hate-filled manifestations of a rot of Minneapolis, which is shocking. It's not LA. It's not New York. And to see all this stuff unfurl out and to sit there and say that these people didn't deserve their deaths for attacking agents. I'm going to tell you right now, if I was pulled over by a Tampa police officer for speeding and I acted in any way not so dissimilar, he would fucking shoot me. Think about it. If I attacked him like Preddy did, 3 of the officers kicked the fucking car, smashed the windows. How about that broad? No good. Tried to run over the cop. I mean, seriously, you got to really think about how these things are legislated out in your own contextual way, in your own city, state fiefdoms. I mean, look, I think in some way she was hurting President Trump in a lot of ways. She was. I don't know about Mark Wayne Mullen, and I don't know what it is, but this is the perfect time. The DHS has been suspended. Their funds have been cut because of the Democrats, and now the increase of terrorism, TSA lines, checkpoints, and all the nonsense is happening. Who does this fall back on? Onto them. And once you recognize that and point that out, it's all on them. So when a major catastrophe from the Department of Homeland Agency has been neutered because of the Democrats, can't bitch at Trump. You got to say, hey, they're the ones who shut it down.
I agree with you. Let me see what else I have here. Yeah. So just going into it right now, breaking. An overwhelming poll just found that 91% of MAGA supporters approve of President Trump's actions in Iran. You wouldn't think that according to the news. Well, only 6% disapprove. Your government/economist. Among all Republicans, 83% approve and 11% disapprove. Great news. Full steam ahead over the Islamic regime. Big dog fighting back. Dan Scavino being the right-hand man always. Sure. I wanted to show you this as well when we go to that. When the overwhelming support is from Republicans, you can see this. That NBC News, left-wing media, polls and finds that Democrats are less popular than ICE. Wow, only Iran is viewed worse. Can you even imagine that? I certainly can. This is just too funny. A new poll from NBC found that Democrats are wildly unpopular. Of course, there's no surprise there. But just how despised are they among respondents to a left-wing NBC News poll is very telling. Democrats are viewed less favorable than ICE, the GOP, or President Trump. In fact, the only thing that the poll response says that they viewed less favorably was the Democrat Party. Of the Democrat Party was Iran. My goodness. A recent NBC poll found ICE more popular than the Democrat Party. It barely edged out Iran in popularity as Democrats pushed airports towards a shutdown during a peak spring break travel. They could soon lose not just to Iran, but Ebola in future polls. That's, the last part was very funny that they typed that in there. But just letting you know, midterms are right around the corner, Brett. Where do you think we stand before we depart from one another?
Well, the way that John Thune is conducting the whole scenario with the SAVE Act, and that's being played out in front of us as President Trump is perfectly.
And again, let me preference what the SAVE Act is to everybody out there is 100% that what this means is that all it is to show that you're a naturalized citizen, that you have an ID, that you are a part of this country.
Yeah, there are four variables involved to make
President
sure
Trump,
that you can vote 100%.
Legally. Just to show that you can vote legally. And people on the left in our Congress are saying that this is unconstitutional, that this is not right. And guess what? They don't care. They don't care. They want to watch this country fail, Brett. It's sickening.
Well, they're involved with the grift and the graft and the theft of our elections. So obviously they're going to come out swinging in this matter. But you also have to consider in some ways that how President Trump
Can I say one more thing before you go? And I'll let you go.
Yeah, sure.
Hog wild. President Trump said he's not signing another fucking bill until this is passed.
It's smart. It's smart. And
So
you know what? It's not just that.
leverage.
He's basically letting them know. John Thune said, we're not going to change the filibuster. We're not going to do this. We're not going to go do that. They don't really have President Trump or the American people's best interest involved when it comes to the SAVE Act. And so what Trump said to his people and said, where the trust me bros were, trust me, man, he's going to make a deal with Cornyn. And trust me, bro, you're going to be wanting to be on this side and support this and stuff. So all the trust me bros over there, fuck right off and die. And there are a lot of them that you would be surprised about, and they failed epically. Because I said, not even a couple of days ago, why didn't you, President Trump, just say, hey, look, I'm not going to support Paxson or Cornyn because of the SAVE Act and all this other stuff. I would call on my MAGA base to make that determination, as he has done. And how is that going to be, let's just say, unfurled out? So all the MAGA in Texas that are going to vote for a senator, you know what to do. Go do it. In any case, what we're seeing right now with the SAVE Act and stuff, the question is, what is it going to take to move this forward? Well, we're going to have to see how this primary runoff of senators will, let's just say, fall from. If Paxson wins, what are they going to do? If Cornyn wins, what are they going to do? Because they got to go against this guy, Tallarico, who's a fake Christian, loves transgenders, is a fake pastor, loves gays. This guy is the biggest fuck. The SEC is investigating him for the hoax on the Colbert show. There's so many things that Colbert show, they're trying to do right now. My advice to a lot of people, focus on what is immediate and what it affects you at the moment. The Iran situation is neither here or there, all right? It's not going to be tenuous. It's not going to be 2 months. It's going to come to some type of scenario will end in a proportional amount that we can be okay with in some way. But it doesn't directly affect you. It indirectly affects you because of the oil, of the uprising in some way. But don't let that get you down. Don't get bothersome bum. Oh my God, my groceries. It's a short-term effect for this. You know, here's the other thing. God forbid we're in a protracted war because we have no choice. I think the weakness of the American populace, because they can't handle it, based on the Iraq war, Afghanistan, or even Vietnam, has basically chosen us another direction. And that may be good because we should not want to have war. We want to have peace. We want to be able to settle things out. But in order to do what has been done in Iran, they had to be neutered. Do you understand?
Yep.
Okay? It's a dog.
And their subsidiaries. And their subsidiaries.
Yes. Who are their subsidiaries? The Bank of London, the Lloyds of London. There are many other
all these South American countries.
You have no idea what Iran is representative of. And what I would suggest you is look it up. Look past. Go on Yandex, as I do all the time. And I would suggest to all my followers on WeAreRise Free on Telegram, I would suggest go to Yandex and put in certain key terms and look up the information. Who truly controls Iran? Who controls the oil wells, the vassal state, the behind the means? Who are these Khomeinis? Who are these people that just rise up out of the ashes and take power? They're not Persians. They're not Persians.
No, they're
There's
not.
something else. And the question is, what are they else? And that's what you need to get. He's not walking away right now because they're propping up
They won't.
a weekend at Bernie's or a weekend in Iran for a guy that's already dead.
So true.
And you're buying this,
He's
and you're
missing a
buying it's like,
leg.
oh yeah, all this stuff is a lie. AI, I've seen it all over the place. Don't buy it. Don't buy it.
Don't
They
buy
are
into it.
rudderless, leaderless. There are boots on the ground. Yes, there are. JSOC, Delta, and many other partitions of elements, maybe Israelis, groups that are on the ground that are trying to what? Secure, siphon off, control the, find out where the interim information is of the ground game of, I would say, Iranian nuclear material. I mean, we can't leave anything to chance because once we depart,
Decimate it.
it's either we take it, we can store it, we can nest any operations that are there to make sure that there's nothing left that we can't take. I mean, let's how about gold? How about silver? How about pallets of cash that are underground? There are a lot of things.
Minerals.
Take pictures. I don't know what it is because we don't want certain groups of people to take that and dip out and then come back later on.
I agree. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We have gone over 2 hours, and I want to thank Brett for tuning in. Everybody on Rumble, on Pilled, I have released the gold pills, and on YouTube. We love you very much. Please share the stream. Love the stream. Like the stream. Everything. Get those notification bells. Click them on right now. We love you guys very much. Big shout out to Brett Collins. We love you very much, brother. And I will be back Thursday. Enjoy yourselves and enjoy your Tuesday evening. Thank you, Brett. Peace, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Ciao, Bella.